for a few minutes, and then you're going to go over with me and help me put stickers on.
Feel free to grab the microphone.
Oh, grab it.
And that way, because it just, I think it'll be easier on the audio. So I'm with Tactical Faith. My name's Shannon Poe. I'm with Erin Kunkle of Maven.
Yeah.
Is it Maven Truth Ministries, or is it just Maven Ministries, or
just Maven? Although our website is Maven Truth.
I know it's hard to get a good URL that you want, isn't it? Yeah.
I think Maven's like a rental car.
Oh no.
It's a rental car place. So
yeah.
Maven Truth is our website.
Okay, MavenTruth.com.
Yeah.
And so this particular venture for you and Brett is relatively new. Like about a year and a half, you guys have been on your own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we started in September 2017.
Okay.
So yeah, a little over a year.
All right. And you were talking. So how have you been? You're more involved in the ministry than you were whenever Brett was at Stand to Reason, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's been. Of course, Brett's leading Maven, but as far as what we're wanting to do at Maven.
Don't sell yourself short. I bet you're helping out a lot.
Well, yeah, I do a lot behind the scenes, of course.
Yeah.
But one of our visions with Maven is, of course, we want to impact young people.
Mm-hmm.
But Brett and I, having 5 kids, realize that parents have such a big role in having an impact in young people. The church plays a role. Ministries like Maven play a role. But parents are with their kids most of the time
no doubt.
And have such an impact. So we wanted part of what Maven does to not only train students
mm-hmm.
in truth, but also parents and grandparents and youth leaders, and basically anyone who's pouring into 0 to 18-year-olds. And our oldest daughter's 24. I'm actually a grandma, so I've been doing this parent thing for a while.
Yeah.
I started out on the parent road kind of rough. I was a teen mom. It's actually how I became a believer and started following Christ, was through that experience. So I come to parents not as someone who I think I have it all together, but someone who's learned some things along the way, and someone who parents and grandparents I want to encourage in the discipleship of their kids. And in this world and time we live in, it's challenging. It's really challenging. Brett and I are in the trenches right now too. Our
mm-hmm.
youngest is 7. We have high schoolers. We have a big range in our 5 kids' ages. So we're passionate about the discipleship of our own kids.
Yeah. So many absentee fathers. If Gillette really wanted to show people what real masculinity was, they should have emphasized a father's role.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to emasculate people.
Yeah.
But of course, that's just my opinion. Sorry. but yeah. So you are doing some work specifically with mothers and what you were telling me about that earlier.
I have done ministry for years now with young moms,
mm-hmm.
speaking at mobs and different things like that. So I am passionate about moms and encouraging them and helping them along the way in this parenting journey, but also dads too and parents. So one thing Maven's doing is a conference for parents and grandparents and again, anyone who's discipling
mm-hmm.
kids 0 through 18. But one of the things that I do a lot of talking about is on the topic of discipline. And oftentimes Christians don't necessarily see discipline as a part of our Christian worldview.
Yeah.
But the culture is pushing against
Funny, we're supposed to be disciples, but then we don't make the correlation between discipline and disciple.
Yeah. Yeah, and again, as the culture is moving and changing, I think one big push in the culture with kids is to let them be themselves And this whole you do you, that the message of that teenagers are getting, it's a message that's going to parents too as they're training up their little kids. Just let them be who they are. Don't in any way get in their way of who they are. Now, certainly, I believe God has made each of us uniquely, and I don't in any way want to change the way my kids were made, their personalities, that sort of thing.
Sure.
But
yeah.
I want my kids ultimately to follow Christ. And I realize that if I raise them in a way where they completely reject authority, that can be an obstacle to coming to faith in Jesus, right? Because we want them to bend their knee to him. And if they're not in the habit of respecting any type of authority, it's going to be a lot more difficult. Anyway, so that's type of thing where we put together discipline with leading our kids ultimately to the Lord, which is what we want them to do. Not to reject authority, to learn something, for example, like self-control.
Okay.
You know, discipline should be teaching our kids to have self-control. I'll tell young moms a lot of time, I don't let my kids throw tantrums.
Oh, okay. Well, how do you stop that? Because
yeah.
I've got little girls and, you know, and a little boy. And I've got 3 kids. So
I know. And I had 5, and it's not like, you know, all 5 of mine were just born and didn't have any tendency to throw tantrums or anything like that. So, yes, did my kids throw tantrums? Of course they did. But I saw it when they were little as this is something I want to train them out of.
Yeah.
Because I want my kids to learn to control themselves. And so tantrums is a good example of just, I stop when they're little, I stop them. If they throw themselves on the ground, I pick them up and I tell them no, that this is not how we behave. Now, does that mean they're not going to do it again tomorrow? No, because this is a training.
Yeah.
And so it's going to take time. But I want to instill in them this habit of learning to, even though maybe you want to throw yourself on the ground, that by the time you're 3 and 4 and 5, you're not doing that anymore because you've learned to, when you're frustrated, to control yourself. I'll tell my kids all the time, it's okay to be upset.
Yeah.
It's okay to be frustrated. It's okay to be sad. All those things are okay. It's not okay to throw yourself on the ground. It's not okay to hit mommy. It's not okay to punch your brother.
Yeah.
So in that way, I'm teaching them self-control. And these are tools that, again, I think help lead them to obedience in Christ one day, which is my ultimate goal.
Yeah. Yeah, I've noticed that, you know, the calmer I can be, and, you know, sometimes parents lose their temper, or at least I do. Maybe I'm alone.
No, you're not alone.
You know, and it doesn't help the situation whenever I lose my temper, and then my kids pick up on that, and I see them emulating those same characteristics or that same kind of, you know, that same kind of aggravated style that I can kind of let loose sometimes. But if the calmer I can be with them, and the firmer and more, and like you said, you know, habits, being consistent with the kids is so important. And a lot of times, just, you know, with so many absentee, you know, fathers or mothers, or, you know, single parent households, which is so tough, you know, and then they're having to pool resources from other places to kind of help them. It's hard to get that consistency down. But
yeah, and I relate to those struggles. I mean, like I said, I was a single mom. That's how I started. And that's where, for me, you know, not only my own family who helped me a lot, but my church family really came alongside me that way. But yeah, and as parents,
it helps so much to have that support system.
Yeah.
Not everybody has like a mom and a dad that's real close by, but people, I mean, so there's a lot of good things about the church. And there's a lot of negative things that people can say about the church.
Sure.
But the support system that people get whenever they get involved in a church, even if they haven't given their lives to Jesus right off the bat, you know, the people that are part of these local churches in your community, they are really interested, and they love people, believe it or not.
Yes.
They do love people, and they
that's
want to.
true,
They
yeah.
want to help them,
Yeah.
and facilitate those kind of relationships with people, and give support. So,
Yeah, you're right. And that was definitely my experience. The church that I got saved in, again, I grew up in a Christian family, but I was not a follower of Christ. When I got pregnant my senior year of high school, a friend invited me to his church that had a teen mom program.
yeah,
And it's just this little church in Southern California. It'll never be on the news. The people aren't blasting what they do for others. But there were men in the church that fixed my car for free when it
That's
broke
awesome.
down. There were women who came alongside me. The ministry gave diapers. So the church all around the country is doing these kinds of things. And they for me, were Jesus's hands and feet.
yeah,
And and the church, that's the role we should be playing, right?
Absolutely.
In people's lives. So, and then just going back to your point about losing your temper, I mean, these are things we all do. I yell at my kids, and then I have to go and apologize, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I think an important thing that we have to remember as parents
it's hard to
is,
go back and apologize about something
Okay,
like that.
well,
But
now
I
that's
do.
true. Yes.
Sometimes I have to go take a break and take a walk or
Yeah.
something. But I try. It's like, I lost my temper.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have yelled at you.
Yeah.
But the point that I was trying to make still
Yeah.
stands. But I handled it wrong. I'm sorry
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
But please try to
Yeah, and see that
not shoot
and
your
that's the
brother
beautiful thing.
anymore.
Yeah, and that's the beautiful thing to do. It requires humility on our part, but it's important that we model that for our kids. And just like what you said, I shouldn't have lost my temper. My point was actually right. The way I went at it was wrong. I shouldn't have yelled or whatever I did.
Yeah, I think kids respect that too. I mean, I think that
Oh, they do.
that they're like, oh well, my mom and my dad are human like me,
Yeah.
and they make mistakes, and I think that's a good learning lesson for everybody,
Sure.
So
Yeah, and that's why we point our kids not to us as their ultimate model or salvation, but we
Yeah.
point our kids to Christ.
yeah, that's
And
right.
we model for our kids how we go to Christ, how we are trying to live in obedience. But yeah, we will lose our temper. Our kids see our sins, right?
Yeah.
Besides our
They
spouse,
see them more
who-
than anybody else.
Yeah, I know. So it's an opportunity. It's not something we should hide from our kids, but it's an opportunity to say, listen, you see mommy blow it. You see how I get so impatient when you guys aren't ready. But honestly, I didn't give you warning. I just was in a hurry and I took it out on you. So I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that. You guys see how I blow it.
Yeah.
But I hope I don't ever make you guys feel like I think I'm perfect or that I expect perfection from you. Because we both, or all of us, with our family, it's big, all of us,
Yeah.
we are, in this way, we are shoulder to shoulder with each other. We're all walking in this life towards obedience in Christ, towards following Christ. And in that way, we're brothers and sisters, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So I think that's an important thing to do. Apologizing is difficult, more difficult for some of us than others. If it wasn't modeled for us as kids, it can be harder to.
Yeah, sure.
Because again, it goes back to a habit of, are you in the habit of apologizing
Yeah.
when you blow it?
And like what you said earlier, about discipleship, that's part of this process too. Is that building good habits is part of a necessary kind of discipleship program,
Yeah.
or or some kind of discipline that you're trying to kind of subject yourself to, which
Yeah.
goes back to authority, right? So it's a learning process,
Right.
But that's all really good. What's y'all's calendar like right now, as far as you guys are continuing to do these conferences? This Truth Conference, is this True Story?
So the True Story Conference
True
is
Story.
our youth conferences. And yeah, we're doing those, just kicking those off. Our adult conferences, we're just calling Maven Conference.
Okay.
and we're starting our first one in March. That will be in Southern California in Laguna Hills, and yeah, we have a good speaker lineup for that one. And yeah, the topic of that conference is on my husband Brett's book with John Stonestreet, A Practical Guide to Culture.
Yeah.
So the conference theme will really be navigating the culture with our kids, grandkids, kids in our church. At this time, at this place in history, how do we navigate and disciple our kids at this time? So that'll be our focus.
Yeah, it's a tough time.
Yeah.
But I love what you guys are doing. Tactical Faith loves what you guys are doing, and we want to give you guys as much exposure as we possibly can.
You.
So it's great talking to you.
Yeah,
and thank you so much.
Yes, thanks so much.
Yeah, all right. Well, I guess that's it.
Thank you.
All right. See, that wasn't so hard. Is that your first interview since you've been on with Maven?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yes. It's great.
Brett and I have recorded some podcast. He's wanting to